Renee, could you perhaps share with us what inspired you to embark on this project? I understand it has not come to a closure yet.
Oh, thanks, Pam, for this question. It was basically a very casual conversation with Jimmy and both of us always wanted to do research. And my PC also asked me, it's time for you to, think about academic research. So it kind of encouraged us to try this out. And this project that we are doing on this academic research is really about, can people like you and me make videos? We are not trained professionals in making videos. And when we make such videos, does it help our learners to learn? And that is something that we want to find out, because I think for me personally is a lot of students watch videos from YouTube nowadays, I mean, me included. Then I'm always wondering, so would they watch my videos? I'm not a professional, trained in the media to make such videos. So I always have this question, I always have this really curiosity to find out. So then having this very spontaneous conversation with Jimmy, and I think that's how we decided that, hey, let's not always be on the sideline. Let's now spend some time on this and learn. So I think we believe that this is like an experiential learning for us. So we just decided that we'll go in with that. Yeah, so that's the whole idea.
Okay, sounds really interesting. I'm sure in your journey embarking on this project, there will be some insights that you can share with us. So could you share with us 3 things that you've learned so far about this ARF proposal writing and the process?
Right, okay, 3 things. Actually, there are many things I could share, but since that the project has not come to a closure yet, it will be coming to a closure sometime in September. So I think I'll just share these 3 things with regard to the proposal writing, and also the process to how we secure the grant. So 3 things I've learned is that the first, initially we were under the impression that we are not supposed to do an experimental research, meaning we are not supposed to have a control group and an experimental group, because this group of students that we're having, like for instance my diploma, we're not supposed to treat them differently because you have 2 groups now, right? And we were under this impression because we thought that it may not be ethical, because we think that the video will work. So what about the group that don't have the video? Then wouldn't it be unethical? So these are things that come to our mind. And somehow I think we were also advised that it may not be ethical. But of course, another school of thought is that, well, you guys think it works, right? But the question is that we really do not know whether it will work. And precisely we are doing the research to find out. Yeah. So then, when we do our first proposal, whereby the proposal was sent to the panel for review, and then we gone for an interview. So the first proposal, it was written such that what is the students' perceptions about the videos used in one of the module, which is Health Ethics and Law module. So it's really about students' satisfaction, students' attitude towards the video, because we are of the opinion that I think the institution may not be so liberal, right, allowing to treat students differently, of the same cohort. So that was our first proposal. And during the interview, the chairperson of the panel advised us that they are more interested to find out whether or not the video works. And I think what that means is we have to do an experimental research, whereby we need to have control and experimental groups, so we can compare and contrast which group actually do better in terms of their scores or in terms of the test, right? And given this comment from the panel, so our proposal will revised quite substantially, because the goal then has changed from just a satisfaction now is to whether or not it works. So it's very different in terms of the research design. Yeah. So my point here is that at this point, I think what I learned, I think RP allows us to conduct research in using an experimental manner. Yeah. So that's one. And the second one I also learned is that it's really try and error, right? Is that the IRB process, which took about 1 to 1.5 months. Basically, it's a review, right, by the external people to ensure that it is done ethically and it follows the proper process and protocol. So even after the interview, when the panel says that we have successfully secured the grant, but the process actually takes 1 to 1.5 months. So then I think this is my second point, is that if you are embarking on this research, you have to take that into account. Yeah, because we were not aware of that. So what that means is that we actually intended for the first 2 lessons of the module to be used as this research. And because of this process that take 1 to 1.5 months, then we ended up making videos, not just for the first 2 lessons, but also for lessons 7, 8, and 9. Yeah, till the approval was granted for us to conduct the research. Yeah, so from 2 then become 5. So that's the implication that needs to be taken into account. Yeah. And the third thing maybe at this point is that because we embark on making videos, not by trained professionals, so then there's a lot of technical challenges that we encounter. So then they really have to do a lot of self-directed learning to find out the answers to why it works. Yeah, so I think at this point, these are the 3 key things that I could share in terms of the process and also about the proposal writing. But at this point, I also want to stress that I think Coral and POCAL particularly have provided us a lot of support in the proposal writing. And also for POCAL particularly, she was actually involved right from the very beginning when we were having a brainstorming session on what to do. Because at that point in time, I recall the more I read, right, the more I realize that nothing can be done because a lot of things has been done already. So then the question then is, well, a lot of things has been done, but it's probably not to RP context, and therefore, yeah, we end up doing it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I think it has been quite arduous journey. Could you share with us on the outcome so far, since your project has not come to a closure yet?
At this point, perhaps a bit premature, but what we could share quite confidently is that the outcome of this project is very positive, and we actually gone through a lot of emotional roller coaster, especially Jimmy and I, because we have access to the Leo, and we keep on looking at the data every single week after the experiment was conducted, and then we look at the data. We're like, how come the students in the control group did better than the experimental group? Because at those points, we have not learned how to use the SPSS yet to analyze the data. So we are just eyeballing the data, and then every week we got a shock. And for the first 2 weeks, when I got a shock, I'm like, hey, how come like this? We work quite hard for it, and how come the data doesn't seem to be what we have hypothesized? Obviously, we hypothesized that the video will work, right? And then Jimmy will console me and saying that, well, even though the outcome may not be positive as what we hypothesized, but still there is findings, right? Whether or not the finding is something that you want, you think is favorable. Yeah. And interestingly, when we come to the 3rd week, because it's a repeated study, we studied this 3 times for lesson 7, 8, 9. So when we reach lesson 9, then it becomes Jimmy's turn to ask me the question that I asked him initially, that, hey, how come the data is like that? Yeah, then I console him back. So I think we kind of encourage each other as we go on through this emotional roller coaster. And it's also a hit to our belief system because we believe so strongly that it works, and then the data doesn't seem to suggest that way. So yeah, and then we realized that it's time for us to consult expert. So we actually consulted Alex Ong, and he's very busy, right? So I think we all know he's very busy. So he's very kind, because although he's busy, but he tell me that, hey, can we meet at night or not? He knows that I need to make my child sleep first before I talk to him. So then we meet at night together with Jimmy on MS Team, and then he go through our data, and he used a general media model and analyze for us. Yeah, so at least at a point in time, we need to find out whether or not it works before we do a focus group discussion or an interview, so that we can ask the right questions. So I have to thank Alex On, because he has been very encouraging and very supportive. I think without his encouragement, and also our collaborator, Professor Bong from Indiana University, there are times that when we meet him up, we actually meet him up during our daytime, which means it's night time for him. he never complained. He just happily meet us. So I think for me as a PI, I felt very encouraged with the kind of support that I received from my collaborator Alex Ong, and also Mei Ting as well. Yeah. So I must thank these people for that contribute to the positive outcome, and also they help me to manage the struggles that we have. Yeah.
Sounds like, I think for our colleagues who think that in doing academic research or any research, if there are any struggles, there are also resources around, people who can help them to overcome some of these.